Hello everyone, this is Akhier, and I just saw the movie Backrooms. I've had to restart a couple times because I keep wanting to say the Backrooms. And no, it is just Backrooms. Anyway, the movie, so I don't get the name wrong, IMDb, come to my city, Kane Parson. Mostly I need that because where I know him from and why I ended up seeing the movie, because I know it doesn't look like it, seeing as this is the second movie I've reviewed on my channel, and it's also a horror movie, but horror movies are not usually my jam. However, on YouTube, Kane has a channel where he's Kane Pixels, and he did a web series of the Backrooms, which is where I know him from, and then he got picked up by a studio, which has made a movie based around his interpretation of the Backrooms setting. And with that in mind, right off the top, there are going to be some people who are like, oh, is there a monster? And I do not consider this a spoiler because right from the start, the very first scene isn't with like our main characters. We don't have the therapist or the guy selling the Ottomans. Right from the start, the very first scene, async logo, and then the sides of the screen are cut down so it's like, oh, this is a camcorder, and it's some guy in the Backrooms from async who ends up trapped in there for some reason and recording himself, running around. There's a monster chasing him. And presumably he doesn't make it. We don't actually see necessarily proof of that, but pretty safe to say that he doesn't make it. But yeah, after that, it cuts to our main characters. The guy selling the Ottomans. God, I don't do names with me, I'm horrible. And the therapist, who's currently on screen. And there's the guy selling the Ottomans. Actually, I like this one. This is what I'm gonna keep it on for the moment. So, I think this is a good representation of what Kane Pixel wanted, which is different from being a good movie or being a good interpretations of the Backrooms in general, and I think the movie's better for it. The Backrooms as a concept is quite broad, seeing as it's literally just like liminal space. What kind of liminal space can it be? Any kind. There is an entire wiki devoted to having extra layers to the Backrooms. That is not what we have here. This is Kane Pixel's interpretation, where most of it is this kind of just yellow walls, fluorescent lights, and carpet flooring. And it gets weird, obviously. Just like things are wonky. I think, even if you don't know anything about the Backrooms, or if you're one of the people who are like, oh, there's a monster? I'll give it a pass. I like my more pure liminal horror. I think the movie is good. In fact, my personal rating of it, 2 thumbs up, good movie, glad I saw it. The horror of it it's not a monster movie. There is a monster in it, and it does play a role walking around a word so I don't spoil things too much. But there's also, Kane lets the characters breathe. The Ottoman guy, the 2 employees, and especially his therapist, the Ottoman's therapist, they have a chance to be themselves. Maybe not much the 2 assistants, but they're not main characters. they do play an important role. Now, I really should just do a spoilerific review just because it would be so much easier. I think I'll keep this short and sweet. It is a horror movie. There is violence in it in case that's a thing that you want to avoid. However, the violence is more off-screen. While it does happen somewhat on-screen, they do the whole, how's this other character reacting? Or, oh, we hear it happening. So while we do see some and we know what's happened, don't worry, this isn't a gore fest. There is body horror in here. There is also... it handles mental illness to a degree, which I think, first of all, they don't ever label anyone anything. So that, good. Labeling someone is a good way to just, completely ruin a film by, oh, that's that thing. No. The Ottoman guy is seeing a therapist, and the therapist has her own things. Pretty simple there. The way it progresses and the twists it takes kept me guessing. As a horror movie where a lot of the horror comes from the suspense, not quite as much as Iron Lung did, but there is a bunch of suspense to this film that is facilitated by Kane's excellent way of telling the story so that you do not always realize what happened, even though it is laid out before you, and you maybe not directly, but you will not expect what happens. And it's better for it. And yeah, anything more is going to start getting into spoiler territory, which I don't mind spoilers, honestly. Me personally, I am tempted most times when I'm going to see something to actually spoil myself ahead of time. The special quirks in my brain mean that spoilers do not ruin a thing for me. Rather, it helps me process it. Except, not everybody works that way. And this is not, here is what happened in the movie. This is, here is my opinion of the movie. And so I will keep spoilers out of it, even if I personally would not mind it. So, rounding back, 2 thumbs up. I enjoyed this. I did not regret paying for it, which is rare for me as it is a horror movie. However, it is the kind of horror movie that I enjoy. Which, given some of the stuff that I've said before, it should give you a little bit of an idea of what you're getting into. Now, I think I already said it, but I think Backrooms is a decent movie, even if you don't know the Backrooms. Throughout the movie, Kane and the people that worked on it, obviously, it's not Kane alone, but overall, they lead you to what the Backrooms is without overly sitting you down and being like, well, here's the info dump. 2, even if you're one of the people that do not like the idea of there being a monster in your liminal horror, I guess I should be a little more careful with this one. It is still a good movie in the monsters, or not monsters, monsters? Well, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, because I can't keep track myself. But yeah. What happens in there enhances the film. And so while you might not like it as part of the Backrooms lore, it is important to remember this is Kane Parsons' take on the setting. And so as long as you can get over yourself and realize this isn't your Backrooms, this is Kane's Backrooms, the movie has some really good ideas in it. In particular, and this is for people that are into the Backrooms that are okay with the movie and stuff, or okay with monsters and whatnot being in the Backrooms, there are some implications to what happens in the film. In particular, I'm going to name a thing that happens somewhat early on without being too specific. And it's not in the Backrooms itself. The electrician and what happens with the breaker box. The implications for how the Backrooms is interacting with reality is interesting. And I am sure that going forward, I will be very interested to see what Kane does with the setting. Which is pretty high praise for me, because I am willing to drop a book, even if I've read 3/4 of the way through. If you start going off in some direction that just does not sit right with me, I will drop it like it's hot. I am not afraid of just abandoning ship if things do not go in a way that I consider not even like something I prefer, but rather the logic of the setting doesn't need to have no loopholes or anything, but it needs to be self-consistent. Which, I'm starting to get into my own little foibles. So yeah, overall, don't know the Backrooms? Should be fine. They tell you enough, and by the end, you know what the Backrooms is. Or as much as anyone does. Like, you know as much as I do, given only Kane Parsons' content put out on the Backrooms. If you are one of those diehard monsters shouldn't be in it, that's so boring. Like, no one has control of the Backrooms as a setting. It is completely open to anyone. So I wouldn't even call it a fan fiction. This is Kane Parsons' Backrooms. And if you can get over yourself enough to accept it for what it is, I think it's worthwhile. And hey, it might give you some ideas for your own version of the Backrooms. And then finally, if you are into the Backrooms, it's a must-see. Like, no joke. Some of the implications of what he does with the Backrooms in this film, Kane Parson, without directly stating things, has really brought an interesting new take for me on the Backrooms itself, which I was not expecting, because I have watched the web series that he did. So I've watched a lot of the game theory, and I've watched a lot of other people's theories, and I enjoy the setting. So the fact that he's able to bring something new to it, even if it's just in the details that aren't even necessarily like specifically pointed out, it leaves me not just happy to have paid, but happy I saw it early. Because I was able to get my own opinions on the matter before I went and just like, oh, what's the film theory think about it? And I'm probably going to watch their thing on it too. I love the lore of this kind of stuff. And here we are. So yeah, 2 thumbs up. Generally enjoy it. It's horror, but in the kind of horror where even like teens can see it. What is the rating anyway? In theaters. It's not showing me the rating. Well, not the rating. It is R. Why is it R? Probably the body horror. Weird. Okay, Cancel that thing I said about kids seeing it. I didn't say that. Well, I said teens. If you count 18 as being teens, sure, why not? Yeah, R-rated movie. Woohoo! Which makes my movie watching habits even weirder now, because I normally don't like R-rated movies either. Well, here we are. Hey, it managed to make you like it. So, yeah. Not really sure what else to say about that. I was not expecting that. Well, I do know what to say. Please leave a like and also comment. Did you feel insulted if you're one of those people that don't like the monsters? Tell me why. Tell me why. I'm not a therapist. In general, just interaction helps a video. So please interact. I'm not going to give it any kind of like out of 10, out of 5, wherever, just because I do not like the way ratings are done. But that is that's an entirely different movie, or entirely different video. So yeah. Oh, yeah, I should end the video. Speaking of which, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell so you actually get more of my stuff. Video reviews aren't my normal thing, but maybe I'll do more of them. If it does gangbusters, well, who am I to deny people? Especially if I end up getting monetized and a lot more videos. Anyway, this is Akhier, and I'm signing off.